Freedom, everybody.
Freedom.
Back here in the Black Flag Media studio. Haven't been here for quite some time.
No, our apologies, but it's good actually because we were just busy.
We were busy, man. Yeah. Come on, we were busy. I went to Ottawa a couple of days, and that was a good day. That was a good day. So if you go on and check out my lives and my videos from Ottawa, you'll catch up to what I was doing. But I had a few encounters with some MPs of all parties. The Liberals would not talk to me at all.
No, of course not.
I did see Charlie Angus very quickly. He said, so I don't know what I said, something about, so are you still concerned about my job? Like, it's just the same old conversation. Because he was yelling at some of the other ones again, get a job.
Yeah.
And I saw Julie Debrinsky, and she wouldn't talk to me there, even though I said, oh, hi, I'm from Toronto, and no, she wouldn't even talk to me. But I did take the tax banner with me, and I got pictures with 6 Conservative MPs. Just like, hey, we're having a picture. Good. So that was really cool. That was good. And then, of course, the Thursday, the second day, Johnny Rowe and I went down to the West Block, and then within 5 minutes, the whole entourage of Trudeau and the Prime Minister of France came in, and Johnny just got at him. Canadians hate you. It was there again. You can see the live if you go down a couple of videos down there. It's live, and he's yelling at him. That was pretty fun. And you were where?
We were there. I was going to say I was pretty proud of the Black Flaggers because we were on several. Like, we kind of spread ourselves out. And I think for April and a little bit of March, so I kind of added it up. So if I did 21 days, we were active 17 of the 21 days in a row.
Well, what the heck were the other 3, whatever days?
Yeah, I know. I don't even know where they were. They all kind of stretched into one. But we got Trudeau twice that day, twice in that period. The last one, actually, we got MP Sobera.
I don't know who that is. I remember you saying
that. He's he's an MP. He's not a minister of everything, but he's related to the Sobera family of Woodbridge, right? Which are staunch Liberals.
Oh, okay. So he's up in Woodbridge.
He's up in Woodbridge. If you know the Sobera family, they were caught with in Dalton McGuinty's scandal.
Oh, okay.
Right
This is it's just so many scandals. I can't keep up. I've got a list here, and I'm running out of paper.
It's endless, but he was really vocal during the original convoy, and then he was one So he was one that was perpetuating the arsonist. We were arsonists as well. And then I don't know if you know Danny DeSantis.
Yeah,
Danny DeSantis can tell you everything about Sobera. And then Sean Fraser as well. So on that last one, at least I'll give those guys credit. They came out the front door of the Carpenters Union, right?
Oh,
they knew we were there.
Yeah.
And it started off with me, Joe Boss, but then everyone started coming in. Kim came in, Peter came in.
Oh, good. Yeah, good showing up, current patrollers.
And then Adam came in because we were also protesting. It was by coincidence that we were going to do. We started a protest Friday nights up in Pine Valley in Woodbridge.
Right, yeah.
So they knew they were there. So they came out. I gave it, we were giving it to them. Mike was there. Mike was at one entrance.
Giving them the business.
Yeah. So Mike was going right up to the door. I had the megaphone. We were letting them have it, letting them know. But of course, Justin, right? So they leave after the press conference. So Justin and Krista, we know, are still inside. So we're, Lisa was there. So we got all our entrances. So we're checking every car. We're looking before they leave. So then we know that something's happening. So he's either having a lunch or he's having a meeting with the union themselves, which I think he was probably sitting down with the union. I'm going to need more money for the campaign.
I think he's just hiding under a bench or something, waiting for you guys to leave. Can you just save me?
Yeah, exactly. So he was waiting us out because it was another cold, miserable day at that time. But then we noticed some more regular police coming in. They were parking in the building across. And then we did see one of the Suburbans move, so we knew he was going. So it was probably about 2 hours after the actual press conference ended. And of course, he doesn't come out the front door; he goes out the back door. But we caught him in the trail. And then I was One of the better ones was 55 Broadview, which was the week before, 2 weeks ago. That was downtown, another new one of these 15-minute city complexes.
Yeah.
But literally everyone in the construction teams were there were cheering. And what I liked about the best was, like my guys, I do the megaphone, and then my guys will go freedom right after. So it just took a couple of times, and then I'd do something, and then I'd hear like multiple freedoms. So all the guys working in the construction building realized,
cool.
so that's what you after the guy, you say that. So it was echoing.
Oh, cool.
And then of course he has to go out the back door again. But I was tipped off by people around there, and then as it came close, the balconies were filling up. The construction workers were coming up, blaring down at him. So, I mean, we chased him away.
Well, he can't move. I haven't seen really too much in the tyrant patrolling going out in the other provinces. I don't know as he's been out there for sure, but I haven't seen too much in the tyrant patrolling him. But we certainly are doing that in Ontario.
Yeah.
Toronto, Mississauga, whatever. And Ottawa are really holding him that day. You cannot move without hearing from us, and that kind of brings me to this a little bit. I'm wearing my F. Trudeau button today. Now, I chose that deliberately because in part because soon we might not be able to say or even show it like
well,
this,
that new
right?
bill will probably
will not be allowed. So I thought I may as well put it up there while I can. And I've had a couple of times over the last little bit because we've been out and about with this axe attacks. We've been out a lot, and separately kind of and doing this group, and you guys are doing that group, and we're doing this, and Ottawa's doing that. Anyway, and of course across the country. But I've had a couple of people come up to me and say that's very disrespectful. Now, maybe in my past world, I would have perhaps agreed to a point. I mean, I still think freedom of speech and do whatever you want, really. But, there's an argument perhaps to say it's disrespectful. But, I say, well, this government and Trudeau and that bunch that have reduced the, regular Canadians to stand on a street corner to be heard, I don't think deserves our respect. So that's my answer. So guess what?
Well, he's been completely disrespectful to Canadians in general.
Absolutely. Not just like the unvaccinated or misogynists and all that, but Canadians generally.
Yeah. Well, the amount of lies, the bold-faced lies that he would say, but the media covers it up. I mean, he's been caught in, I can't even count the number of lies that he's been caught into.
Yeah. Did you watch Senator Donald Plett's speech in the Senate?
Yeah.
And he's just going through all the scandals one after the other.
Yeah.
That was excellent. If you guys haven't seen that, I highly recommend you watch Senator Donald Plett. He does a speech. I don't know what he titled it, but maybe I'll link it in the description or something, because it's well worth watching. It's about an hour plus, but he just straightforward. He doesn't make there's not a lot of fluff in his speech. He's just saying, scandal number one, scandal number two. And it's not just Justin's, but other MPs, etc.
Oh,
the dog's barking.
That's Loki. I think
Loki.
that there might be RCMP outside the door as we speak. He's
not protecting the
He'll look after them. I think there's another dog in the building. So, that walked by.
Yeah, okay.
So don't pay attention to Loki.
Yeah.
No, that's how I make complete disrespect for the people. So, and it's a shame.
Yeah. So he's
and every bill is it gets more and more infringing on our rights, more and more inside our homes. I meant he's telling parents how to raise kids. He's telling people attitude. I meant, what can you do? Yeah, other than to say, F Trudeau.
F Trudeau. So that's what we're doing while we can, and
that's dog language for F Trudeau. Loki, come.
Trying to get the dog to quiet down a little bit, but. Maybe that's it. So welcome to Budget Day.
Budget Day.
We won't talk a whole lot about the budget because it hasn't been presented.
But we know it's not going to be a balanced budget, and it's not going to exceed $40 billion.
Yeah.
So
and I
I
didn't
mean,
go
ridiculous.
shopping. Look,
Yeah.
I have no shoes.
No shoes. And I think Krista Freeland bought a new pair of shoes apparently in Montreal from which is I guess a sole proprietor, which is good. But in the past, I mean, it's been Prada. I mean, this. So.
But really, does she?
The
I
lack
mean,
of
they were
respect.
probably given to her for free.
Of
the
course.
advertisement. But regardless, it's just it's just an insult to Canadians all the time.
All
they
the time.
insult us. So what do you think? We're gonna. We don't have a whole lot of respect for them because they continue to insult us, and they say we're reduced to be able to. I might have to stop this and do it. Okay, we'll be back. All right, I'll do. Okay, Black Flag Media, we're back. We found Loki got stuck in the other room. So.
He got stuck in a room.
And we're just trying to be quiet, be quiet.
He was actually
But
asking to get
he
out.
was stuck in the room. So I think he'll settle down now. But he's moving the table. He's a big dog. For any of you who have not seen Loki, maybe we'll have to put a picture of Loki in this video.
We'll put a picture of Loki in this video.
Okay. So, it's budget day today, so we'll probably do another Black Flag after the budget day. So, let's, we did talk kind of a lot about, the acts of tax. There have been many people out, many Canadians standing on street corners, on the sides of roads. The farmers have come out. There's videos out there, there's tweets, there's people in Canada all over and across the board are saying axe the tax. They've got to stop this carbon tax. It's making not just life here expensive. Of course it is, and it will do so. But kind of my concern really is, the money is money, and I don't trust the government with our money anyway. And this whole thing, it's about climate change, to reduce climate change. Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So all of that's just nonsense. So to me, it's just a power grabbing, just a thing to get that 1984 hand on us.
Exactly. It's just a means. It's just a means of controlling behaviors. That's what it's used for. And no tax can change the weather. No. In fact, they can't even account for what that tax has brought in. We're okay. So what did you do? You bought a windmill. You didn't buy a windmill. Nothing with it.
Yeah. So I say, well, what did it do? Did it give us anything?
Yeah, and the company still and the country's still operating at a deficit.
It's a punishment and reward system.
That's 100%.
How ridiculous.
Yeah. Sort of like a social credit. Who knows? This might evolve.
Yeah.
Where he'll counter in the next year to come. Okay, well we have this carbon tax, but people that are good will get less carbon tax. No. I just kind of see that. I just kind of see this how this is going to develop, right?
Yeah, incrementally, they're just getting more and more control over. So as much as, of course, the money is important, but their argument of it being revenue neutral and you'll get back more. Okay, even if that's all true, and that all works out, it's still ridiculous. Why would you put something in like that? It's just a reward and punishment and control. So, I don't know. I think, Canadians need to continue to stand up for all of this. But the axe of tax has been a very good issue to get a lot of people behind. So I'm pleased to and I'm pleased to be participating in it. Yeah.
Well, it's been, if anything, it's been a good awakening for those that we were hoping would awaken soon.
Yeah, that's what
So at least if we just, if they're going to concentrate on the tax, the apartment issues, that's great. Yeah. They'll eventually learn and catch up with the rest of us on everything else that's been going on. So, like I said, we still got to continually do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to continue. So, good work, everybody that's out there on the streets and on the road and writing letters and emails and all of it. Let's just keep that pressure up, and we've got to, in whatever manner, we've got to keep that pressure up. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's our job. Like this, us as the street fighters. We keep the pressure up, and while they're kind of working things out you know, behind the scenes a little bit. So we've still got our job to do. As much as I'd like it to end, we still have it. So now, what did you think of the foreign interference inquiry?
Well, the foreign interference inquiry went exactly how I expected it, in the sense, not the actual things as they would evolve. So I knew Trudeau somehow was going to screw it, will try to manipulate the schedule. So he went in. But my main focus was they're going to discount a whole bunch of other things and focus on the Hong Kong issue. Because obviously, if you watch what Trudeau's done in the past, whether it's Jody Wilson-Raybould or somebody else, they get to carry the anchor, and he'll pass. So you'll see Justin in 3 weeks' time come out and say, well, this has been a teachable moment or learning moment. We've learned from it.
We're taking it very seriously.
And unfortunately, Hong Kong is, we're going to ask him to leave, and what he did was wrong and this and that. So, and he completely discount himself of everything that he was involved in. And Christopher Freeland as well. I mean, there's so many things that not talked about. And a lot of it is they made it very difficult for witnesses to come through. They'd be identified. But the foreign interference extends all the way down into municipal government, businesses. None of this is being brought up. Nothing being spoken about. I mean, there's just countless.
Yeah, this is the really sickening part for me anyway,
Oh, yeah.
is that, you know, I think because of just being, you know, I'm sort of what I would say politically naive person and, you know, fairly trusting that most people would do the right thing and realizing the actual rot that is in
everywhere.
this government and all the levels, and not just the government, the corporations, etc. It's just rotting. So I've been actually starting, I don't know if there's actually a hashtag out there, but I'm doing Axe the Corruption, you know, along with Axe the Tax. Like, let's just axe this whole corruption. And I don't know how the heck we're going to get at it, but I did go into the foreign interference inquiry on the Wednesday, whatever date what that was, and sat there. I watched LeBlanc, what's his name? Dominic, thanks. Yeah. Dominic LeBlanc a little bit speaking, and then I left and I came back for when Trudeau came in. And of course, you guys, you know, on the thing don't see it, but he walks in. He's a little bit late, of course, you know, and he walks in the side door and he just turns to all them. There's all these media cameras, you know, the great big white media cameras, and he just turns to them and gives them this little Trudeau smile. And that moment I'm like, oh man, this guy is, it just made me feel kind of sick to watch him perform, because that's really the whole thing, was performance. You know, whatever you know, points he was trying to make, it was all done through a performance. Oh, like, you know, he just like, now let me think about that. It was all just an acting job.
Sure.
And I say they gave him, you know, a pretty good gig. You know, you want this acting job? Sure. You know, you might have it for 4 or 8, I don't know, maybe plus years. You'll make this much money. People might not like you, but whatever, you know.
Yeah, like it's all theater, and they know they have so many minutes on the stand, so that's why you always hear, well, let me think about it. Yeah. Because they're letting it.
It was horrible. And then I see on I guess on Twitter the commission, the Foreign Interference Commission, they put up a picture of, like, you know, from the doorway in, and they where Trudeau's sitting and up a stage there, and they say, oh, it's a full house. And I see that on the Twitter, and I'm sitting right in the front row, and which they completely blocked compared to the EA inquiry. They had this big black fencing, really, you know, between us and the lawyers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm like, full house, and I look around, I'm thinking, there's no full house here. There's like me and maybe a couple other, you know, citizens, and mostly just media.
Yeah, well, Trudeau.
It's not a full house, and they had the fencing all there that people could have joined.
Yeah. Well, he changed the schedule around to go. He manipulated to say, I'll speak now, as opposed to 3 days later. So, goes to show.
And what I thought was really interesting, and maybe you can speak on this, but when the CSIS director came back afterwards, he was called back, and said basically Trudeau was lying.
Yeah.
That the briefing that he received was not how Trudeau
No. Yeah.
told Canadians it was, and so I was pleased to see that. That's for sure.
I was pleased, but the media should have picked up on it a lot more than they did. Like Justin doesn't even read his security briefs, or he expects someone to read it to them.
I liked Ezra's, the way Ezra put it. He says, and Justin needs it read to her like story time.
Yeah, bedtime.
Bedtime story.
Bedtime. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if people kind of want to do their own research into the foreign interference, I mean, I'll throw out some things, and there's a variety of articles. So you kind of want to look at an organization called the Chinese Cultural Industrial Association. So these are all little organizations in which they're community groups, but they're in favor of the CCP. So they invite politicians, and this is where the favors and this is where the handouts are made. Then there's a gentleman called W.H.O. I'll spell his name, W-E-I. So that's, you look him up, you'll see what shenanigans him and Justin have gotten into. The assistant mayor of Markham is very well linked to several CCP operatives that are operating in Canada. The biggest one was the lab leak, right? So Justin actually had to sue his own Speaker of the House so it wouldn't come out and call an election. So clearly 2 Chinese agents went into what our level 4 lab, we call it in Winnipeg, which is the US equivalent of the CDC. So they're manipulating the Ebola virus. And when I say manipulating, is Ebola kills very fast, right? So sometimes you don't get because the carrier dies too fast to execute. So they're thinking, how do we spread the Ebola virus so quick? That's literally what they were experimenting on. Now all of that's now in the hands of the Chinese. You go way back, it was Rebel, we spoke with Ezra. He was found out about the Chinese training with Canadian troops. I mean, that goes back to the first year Trudeau was in power. And these are just what we hear about, but so the infiltration is all the way through. So they take an inquiry like this, and this is what it's supposed to be on, and they concentrate on the one MP, Ong Dong, which basically $250,000. They bust in students for him to win the Liberal section. Nomination. And then, again, they infiltrated in on the actual writing. And then how they do that in the writing, I don't know if it's been talked. I think it has been, but a lot of people don't talk about it. So, like if you go up into areas of Markham, the writings in Markham and the writings in Scarborough, obviously they're very tight-knit. They're the Asian Canadians, basically all the stores in Asian Canadian, they speak either Mandarin or Cantonese, so it's very hard to find out. But when you speak to people in the know, what these CCP agents do is they go around and say, like what they said is, if a Conservative MP runs in this riding, everyone's in for a lot of trouble. So what they do is they just discourage people voting for the Conservatives. And that kind of makes sense when you look at the Conservative vote. So if you go back one election, a Conservative candidate, say, got 10,000 votes, right? And then in the last election, you only got 3,000 votes. Well, what happened? And then the people that did vote, if you look at the card, they never voted. So you can tell that there was some sort of an intimidation done. So as opposed to voting for the Liberals, they just say, I'm not going to vote at all. So the Conservative guy doesn't get the votes. So
I'm curious to see what
none of that's mentioned in the inquiry.
This coming election in those types of ridings, because that the Chinese interference in that way, that's not going to go away.
No, it's not going to go away, and it'll still continue.
Yeah.
And then you get into the whole bigger picture, right? How are we letting in people, and how do they represent? So
yeah, well, as they say, it's rotten.
Yeah.
It's rotten, and we got to somehow, start digging out that rot and getting rid of it bit by bit, chunk by chunk, and hopefully that will happen through these committee meetings, through these inquiries, more and more regular Canadians will start seeing that there is rot and have their eyes open to it, and perhaps will start questioning and start, I don't know what, start questioning, start writing their MPs and just being awake to this. And hopefully we can dig out, we're not going to dig out all of it, that's for sure, but we got to stop this rot and this corruption, politically speaking, but, in human terms, like this is not healthy for us as human beings. So we definitely need to start digging that rot out.
And accountability. I mean, there's no accountability. Like you look at CSIS, and I've said this before, regardless of their competence or incompetence, they're just researchers, right? They can't formally lay a charge. No. So they research it, they take it to the RCMP, and they say, we need you to lay the charge for us. And the RCMP doesn't. I mean, that's the problem right there. And then obviously Justin doesn't even pay attention to what they say, or he can't read, or doesn't comprehend what they're saying.
I mean, that's his story, but I'd say,
that's
he's got to play.
He knows exactly what
he's a puppet, and he's got to play with the part that he's been given.
No, I honestly, me personally, I honestly think the Chinese ran the election. I think Justin used them. He knew he needed them. I think he was actively participating in that. Whether it's through John McCallum, who's a liberal stooge that lost the seat, but Justin made him part of the diplomatic corps for China, whether Justin spoke through him. Justin's brother going over taking money for the Trudeau Foundation out of China, bringing back $200,000. I mean, honestly, like it was a clear.
And they don't hide it that much, really, but really, they don't hide it that much, but until it, the opposing parties force them, the Canadian public force them, and the media forces them, they can just keep doing what they're doing, and that is a huge challenge that we have right now is our media, and they're just, they're in the pockets of the local party at the moment.
Of course they are. I mean, the media is the whole thing, because we still have people we know, but until it's on the media, a lot of these sheeps don't realize it is truth. So I mean, when he owns the media, he knows that even a scandal will only have 2 days of life, because it'll die in the media.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he just has to hold off for a couple of days, and then it'll go away.
Yeah, and that's really kind of our job, I guess, is because the media isn't doing their job. We, as Canadians, and we call it Tyrant Patrol, and I say we're all Tyrant Patrol because they're tyrants, and we got to keep them. We've got to keep them at bay, and we've got to dig them out. So until regular Canadians actually start recognizing, and that's what's been really kind of cool about the Axe Attacks rallies and protests, is we're getting a lot of support. They may not be joining us right on the street, but when they're driving by, we're getting so many honks, because we're just really putting up Canadian flags and pretty much just Axe Attacks, posters and banners and stuff. And there's a lot of honking, even in Ottawa, which was kind of nice to see.
It was nice. Yeah.
So we just got to keep that pressure up, and we may do a second one. I think we'll have to do a couple, because we're going to have to do one on the budget once it's out, and we can kind of disseminate what the heck they've done to us this time. Yeah. And then this WHO treaty for pandemic response, for health control, pandemic treaty, the WHO treaty is coming up May. I don't know the date.
I think it's May 21st is when we sign it, but the countries themselves I think it's all slated to be signed by mid-June. So we know down in the States that Joe Biden's already said that he's going to sign it. And then I believe, although if you go on the government sites, it still hasn't said exactly, but we'll know to be before that long weekend. So the 20th. Yeah. So we got.
So this is April. So not very long. We've only really have a couple of weeks. Yeah. But maybe we can start as freedom fighters, as the Tyrant Patrollers, as Patriot Canadians. Start doing some WHO, get rid of the WHO treaty, whatever signs you want to put up on it. And I know this week coming for Shelburne's rally, that's their focus is on the WHO and the WEF, and so that's their focus. But so maybe people out there and across the Canada. And all around the world, really, because this is a world problem. That's
everyone's.
So start really pushing that. We don't want to participate in this.
No.
We don't want some unelected, and even if they were elected, I mean, why do we want this body controlling what we do, how we're supposed to respond? So we really need to kind of hit that hard out there on the streets and emailing and whatever it is you do.
I do want to give Leslyn Lewis a little bit of credit. So I didn't notice this, but I think probably about 3 weeks ago, she set up an individual page off her page, in which she talks about the World Health about this treaty pandemic.
Well, she needs to hit it harder.
She needs to,
Leslyn,
definitely.
But I think we got to really stand up there in the House and committee and really push hard. She's pretty soft-spoken, and I'd like to see her pushing hard because she's been working on this for a year.
Well,
so
she sponsored the petition, but it takes more than that.
She's been not just sponsoring that petition, but she herself had been working on it. So come on, Leslyn, get out there and push hard, and we'll support that. But you guys got to do your job too. So I mean, a lot going on. Definitely a lot going on, and
it's designed to be that way. It's
designed
that way.
Yeah.
It's designed that way.
Yeah, that's why I always say it's like they just keep throwing hand grenades
just
at
keep
us.
throwing it. So so we don't see what else is happening. That's why
we're just busy putting that fire out, and then they throw another one.
We're on axe attacks. We don't know what's going to happen in this budget. Now we got the budget, then we got the WHO.
Yeah.
But it is. Then we got Bill C-53.
See, it just goes on like, okay, what? Oh yeah, I got to do that. I got to do this. Bill C-63 is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Again, I have a right to say what I want. Even though I might not want to walk around with, saying F anybody, but, I have a right to do it. So don't take these rights away from us. And that C-63 is a nightmare. So anyone who doesn't know that bill, please look it up. And, Arifa Varani, he's dangerous. In my opinion, dangerous.
Very. So
he's been doing the rounds trying to promote that, and we have to protect our children. I wrote on his Twitter page, his X thing, well, why don't you just take them out to the ballpark, take them to the playground?
Anything.
Like, why are all these kids online that we have to protect themselves from predators? Why are they not outside playing? Can they not just be children for a couple of years of their life?
Exactly.
Anyway, he really kind of bugs me a lot. Yeah. But I think we've been doing a good job, everybody. Again, hats off to everybody who's been out there on the road and the streets and, emailing and doing this whole access.
Get the offices. I know a lot of times they aren't there. Sometimes they let you in, but it's a crapshoot. Get in if you can. If they're not there, they're not there. Make a spectacle of it. Everyone will come talk to you. But the other thing, too, is just let them not breathe. Know that every day thinking, is they going to hit our office? Or
not hit.
Not hit. Sorry, show up.
Show up. Yeah.
Show up.
Yeah. You don't do any hitting.
Yeah. So.
This is when you like this, thought police and,
And then the premiers as well. Stay on top.
The premiers. Oh my God, there's another one. So, I don't know where they're going. Like they passed that.
And on the WHO treaty as well, the premier should be.
Yes.
Speaking up about that as well.
They passed that motion that Trudeau should, the Liberal Party has to have a meeting with the premiers. Now, if I could just sit, he's like, okay, they passed the motion, but that doesn't mean he has to schedule it for whatever period of time.
Exactly.
But we have to keep on top of that. Those premiers have got to put pressure on Trudeau and say, to this tax. Like, quit coming. And the healthcare, like, stay out of our park here. What does Danielle Smith say? Stay out of, she called it something. Stay out of my lane, or I forget what she had a bill up, like... Anyway, but, stay in your own jurisdiction there. And those, Doug Ford...
He talks stuff, but he's not
He's
Yeah.
he's a wuss.
He is a wuss, of course.
So we've got to keep pressure on all your premiers. You got to keep pressure on them to
just
stand for us as Canadians, and if that premier meeting gets, if they do it, I hope they do it in person. It'll get televised because that was the motion, but I hope they do it in person, not everybody just on Zoom and doing their thing. I hope they show up in person in Ottawa, and if they do, I'll go to Ottawa for that. Because they need to see. I might go
anywhere in Canada for that. Regardless where it is,
it would be good. Because they need to see regular Canadians out there saying. Yeah.
See, the other thing, look, obviously, it sort of hasn't been done before, but sort of, if you look at Quebec referendums, I mean, the provinces have a lot of power, and if they're not happy with the way the federal government is going, is they can make a confederation challenge. Now I know that's a big thing, but I know for a fact they've talked about that in Alberta and probably Saskatchewan, making a challenge. Well, we're going to put forth to our people if they want to stay in this or leave. Now imagine that's 2 provinces, but if we had 3 or 4 saying that, then we could bring down the system of government the way it is now. Just if they had the courage to say that,
if they had the courage to do it, yeah. And I think if they knew the people within their province were standing behind them, they might have the courage. Well, or just not so much even the courage to do it, but like scared of us more than be more scared of us.
Exactly.
Now, hopefully Melissa won't mind I say this, but I do want to kind of put out a preempt announcement as such. As you recall, back in November into December, we had Melissa Atwater put out a petition E4701 that almost 400,000 Canadians signed in 30 days asking for a vote of non-confidence and then an election 45 days after. Well, we got a response, and it was milk-soppy and saying, oh no, we're doing a great job and we have the confidence of the House and, move along, little 400,000 Canadians.
Yeah.
Well, Melissa and I have been talking about that. Oh, he's not caught in the room now. He's just barking at noises. Yeah. So, I think it's just people passing by.
Yeah.
So,
hey.
And this is actually the first time I actually really heard him bark.
Yeah, he's never barked before. Hey, Loki, come.
Come on. There we go. That's a good boy. Come on. It's all
well,
good.
He's not going to be letting the studio again. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he can't come. No,
it.
he can come. That's okay. So we've talked about, doing another one. It's like, hey, we'll just keep doing them.
Yeah, we can't let them up.
Nope. So pretty soon, I hope and I think there will be a second petition, basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And asking for a vote of non-confidence.
Yeah.
And wow, that's a
hey.
Come here. Melissa has added a few things, including the carbon tax, and including the carbon tax and maybe a couple other things that I've forgotten. Sorry, Melissa. But anyway, I just want to give a heads up to people to please watch for that when it comes. We'll be doing another number of announcements when that comes through, because we've got to show the numbers. Like people standing on the street, there's 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 of us, and horns a honking. Sure, that can be easily ignored. But if we have millions of Canadians sign a petition that is registered with the federal government that they have to respond to, then we can get millions of signatures on to that. That they can't ignore.
Right.
They can try to, but we'll just do another one. And so this one, unless something changes, this one will be up for the maximum amount of time, which is 180 days. So it would then be read in September. So we have all this time to sign it, to share it, and let's really be ready for that, because once it comes out, all being well, it'll come out hopefully soon, and we'll just hit it hard. And we've got to get millions of signatures on this.
And I mean, we got to talk to people about, to show you how corrupt they are, him and Singh get together about changing the election day so he can get a pension.
yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Singh.
You've talked to
Oh, and then after Singh does that, he comes out about the carbon tax, and he says, "Oh no, I disagree with it now." After everything's all, after everything, like, who cares now? I mean, it's done.
Yeah.
So that's the type of
that's
fools that we have.
Yeah. That's just
doing everything.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
They're idiots.
Yeah.
But it is just such a level of corruption that is.
Everything is corrupt.
Yeah, everything's corrupt, and it's such a level of idiocy. Like we can't have these people running our country. No. Like they gotta go. We could we just could go on, but the whole IRGCs, the terrorists, like these, why are they hesitating on making them a terrorist? What do you call that? Assigning them a terrorist
as a terrorist organization,
as an organization, and banning them from Canada.
And they're operating.
Why are they hesitating? Yeah. You have to wonder why. And these are our leaders of our country, and I say leaders like this but they are our lawmakers, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So how it is that we can have these. Palestinians, but basically I don't even like to call it that anymore because they're really Hamas support, not just supporters, but they're part of it. They're not just supporting, but they come from them, and they're running amok on Canadian streets.
And it's been very much influenced by the left as well. Like radical leftist groups are involved with it now too. So it's not really. It's became more about making a mess than it has about anything.
So that's got to stop. I mean, that kind of protesting. Like I'm totally, obviously, we have a right to protest and we have a right to protest aggressively. I do believe that, but these guys have been given such a long leash that it's frightening. But the point being that we pretty much know that they are Hamas, belong to Hamas. I mean, there's going to be lots of people that are just like, innocent and naive and join in. But this is Hamas driven, I would say, allegedly, I have to say. But,
I know, but
that's a big mess. So we've got a mess.
We got a mess. And it's just like... when companies have a CEO that doesn't know what he's doing or he's corrupt, the company just falls and disintegrates. The same thing in this situation. I mean, just rot from the top to the bottom. Mm-hmm. And people are going to notice it. I talk to a lot of real estate agents. I talk to a lot of bankers. A lot of what people don't realize too is over the last 3 months, foreclosures have gone up 50%. So January to February was 50% more foreclosures than in January. And then January was 50% more than December. The next 4 months, as cost pressures continue to rise, you're going to see a lot of foreclosures, a lot of power of sales.
What's interesting about foreclosures and power of sales is, correct me if I'm wrong, but if there was like a big housing, big movement of housing, we'd see for sale signs all over the place. Yeah. But not foreclosures. No. People don't put on their lawn, I'm losing my house due to a foreclosure. No. So all this happens really under the table. All under the table. Exactly. Yeah. Out of the public's eye. Yeah.
And basically what happens is so you have a mortgage and the banks use this 30%. So, you got the house equity, and then they don't want, but they don't want your debt level to go beyond that 30%. But what happens is it creeps, right? So people are having more and more cost pressures, so they can't afford the mortgage. So what happens? What do? They get, their credit cards are full. So they turn to the line of credit, which is the equity of the home. So so now they take out a credit line on the home, right? To try to catch up, to try to keep their mortgage going. But what if the value of the home drops a little bit, that affects that equity. And then what happens is people just run out of money, and the bank said, "Well, you haven't paid the mortgage," so the bank just claims it, and then the bank will have to sell it at that. And that's the same thing with a commercial building, anything, not necessarily a house.
Yeah.
So this is where
And
where
the
it's
sad
going.
thing about, I mean, it's a huge sad thing, all of it, but then these people that just lost their house because they can't afford all of that, they've got to look for a rental property, and rental properties are through the roof, so they can't, what they would be paying in rent is actually probably often more than their mortgage.
It is, yeah.
So, like, this is the spin that's happening.
When we were down there, our Sachs, remember that landlady came up and
Yeah,
spoke.
yeah.
And so she's a landlady, and so they have 2 bedrooms, two floor, 2 bedroom, small little, and the rent is actually way higher than my mortgage. The rent is $1,000 a month for that, and it's half the size of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a situation.
This is what's happening with people too, and of course, then there isn't the rental units. Like we've got it really. I mean, we keep saying it. I mean, it's just a mess, and and they just keep throwing more fuel onto their fire of a mess with their accelerator funds and their announcements of this and pharmacare and child care and I don't know, dental care, and they just keep throwing. So we should probably wind this up because it's been going quite a long time, but. The other thing, so we want to talk about the budget at some point in the future, next little bit, and WHO treaty and what we may figure on doing, as protesting, and the other thing I just want to kind of put out to people is to watch, because when this is just my thought on this, that Trudeau's going to have to come in with something flashy for the campaign when it happens, and it's a while from now, but he'll be working towards that. But it'll be universal basic income.
100%.
That's my call. I'm throwing my money in that. Not that I have much, but I think he's going to use that. He'll fancy it up. He'll make it kind of look like it's a really cool thing for young people. He's going to go after the young people and the old people, but mostly the young people. This is going to be 2015 all over again. He's going to, say, hey, you can have weed all over the place. It's no longer criminal, and this will be his.
That and food in the schools.
Food in the schools.
So he'll decimate the economy, and then in the next election say, "Well, I'm the only one offering universal basic income to help recover."
Yeah, but he won't give any apples.
But he won't give any apples.
Maybe we should leave it there.
We'll leave it there. So that's good. So watch the budget.
Bananas. Don't give bananas because I won't go with that. Yeah. Watch Leslyn Lewis.
Watch the budget. You can actually get that WHO treaty online, but be aware that there's a 30-page one. That's just the summary. What you also want to need is download the actual full treaty, and then you find how redundant it is.
Oh my God.
So
we'll have
you can get them off the government site.
But
and
it's coming up soon.
Leslyn Lewis on her page has both the summary and the actual treaty.
On her website,
on the website.
Her
you can
leslynlewis.ca or whatever.
Yeah, and then you can go to the WHO. She has a tag for the WHO, and then she has the summary and the actual treaty, which is like 200, almost 300 pages.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So there you go.
Well, I'll put that link in the description and whatever else I can think of to throw in there. But I think that's it for now, because we could probably just go on for days.
Of course. So can everybody else.
Yeah, and so could everybody else. So, yeah, have a good week. What is today? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Have a good week. Continue out there. Thanks for everybody holding the line. And
maybe look for us on Friday. We'll do the budget on Friday, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Thursday, Friday. Yeah.
We're doing some stuff. We're doing some stuff this week. I forget.
Yeah, we're
I have to look at my freedom calendar.
Yeah, we'll be hitting the streets now from Wednesday right through. So.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Freedom.
Freedom.
Always choose freedom and hold the line. Bye.